Alright, let's play some 3-minute on Lichess. Dogly, rated 2090. I guess I'll play a Budapest. Do love the Budapest. So against knight f3, bishop c5 is a nice move because it forces e3 and this bishop's locked in. And now I go about targeting the e5 pawn. This move looks interesting. So if I castle, bishop h7 followed by knight g5 would open up on the knight, but my queen defends it and their bishop does not. So that's not a problem. So I can just castle. I was wondering if there was anything odd and different here, because normally the bishop goes to e2. And I think that's because when I take on e5, I'm going to hit the bishop now. And so this is just a little awkwardly placed. So now I'm going to take on e5. Maybe I should have played a5, prevent this. My bishop has the f8 square. I can insert taking on d3. Maybe I should just get the two bishops. Then play bishop f8. If they take on c5, I can take back knight and save it. Might be able to take on c1 as well. Now where do my pieces belong? Maybe my bishop can reroute to g6. They're going to help it on its way. I might have done that on my own. If they play b5, I move the knight and I have time for b6, then they'll have no queenside breaks and I'll be pretty happy. So they should probably go for c5 as quickly as possible. I would like to prevent that. Maybe knight b8. Because knight on b8, I can reroute easily this square. If I go to e7, my bishop doesn't control c5 anymore. If I go to e5, they can take and then play c5. So knight b8 seems to best prevent white getting any queenside play. I'm going to play b6. Now they never have c5. And then my knight's going to head to that square. Ah, but I gave up the c6 square. Yes, that was foolish. Maybe queen f6. I'd be happy to trade queens. I'm a little cramped. The queen's one of the better defenders of a4, which my knight is going to soon be attacking. So we'll just trade off the queens if possible. Okay, so that controls c5, but I think I still want to trade queens. I could play knight e5, but I think I want to keep my knight on the board. Bishop d3 isn't that awkward for them to meet. How can I improve my position? Maybe just scan a little space. Alright, they're headed here. I'm going to come to e4, control c6, maybe keep my bishop on that diagonal, and swap if a knight ever comes there. My h5 was probably not a good move. Okay. I don't think I want to take on f3. I like the idea that now they can't bring a knight to d4. Don't know. Yeah, h5 is looking very poor at this point. Probably bishop e7 next. Maybe g6 and bishop g7 makes more sense. Probably. Okay, I'll have to go faster. I've spent too long. I'm going to play g6. I'm likely giving up the two bishops, or trading off the two bishops, but I'm not sure how to improve my position. Let's go to h6. Occasionally, if one of the rooks gets loose, I'll have some kind of like rook takes e3 idea, but it's pretty vague. Okay, they still never have c5. They go to c6, I'll take it. Okay. So I can play knight b8 now. And I don't see how they defend the pawn. My knight's done a lot of hopping around. I think this knight is my hero of this game. Now I definitely want to play bishop g7 at some point and try to trade. Though if this knight and this rook moved and this rook was still loose, I'd have rook takes e3 ideas, so let's keep an eye out for that. But instead, the pawns just look loose. And so knight b8 grabs a pawn. We're not even behind much on the clock now. And white continues to have no breaks because c5 is fully covered. And now what glorious mission will my knight go on next? Well, I want to go to e5. but the bishop can trade for it, so I'm just going to try to trade off the bishop. And then come to e5. Maybe come to b4. The bishop controls a lot of good squares for my knight. Huh. Okay, let's go to rook e4. Oops. Almost removed hanging a rook. Good thing they didn't play quickly there. f6, maybe, just control some squares. Look to slowly improve. Does knight e5 force things? No. I don't want to allow knight d4, though. I'm going to try to just slightly improve. I want to trade if they ever go to d4. Alright. Now they can't, so I have time to do some things, hopefully. c5 almost traps the rook, but doesn't. Let's come back. Alright, now I just have to play fast. c5. Now their knight has no good squares. The question is, what can I do with my knight? I have d6 defended. I'm going to come back to b4. Alright. They ended up going slow. I didn't really find a good path out of this. Because, like, my positions obviously should be winning. Once I get here, I'm actually pretty happy, because I'm going to push d5 at some point. And I should have, like, once they move here, you know, something like this, I have d5 and I'm free. And they never have pressure against my weak pawn, and this is pretty clear. But I took a while. I was hesitant to play c5 because the d6 pawn is weak. So maybe I should shore up d6 and then play c5, and then play d5. And that way, because if I ever play d5, they open and this pawn's weak, if I haven't played c5 first. So I think c5 is necessary preparation for d5. And that's how I have to open up the game. And I didn't really get there in the time control until the very end. But okay, 1 for 1. I also think when they played a3, I should have just played a5 automatically, stopped b4. I don't think the game continuation was bad for me, but why give them that? Alright, I'm going to play knight f3 for a quick d4 and try to get into a Maroczy bind. And I really like the Maroczy with knight c2. I know this isn't like most precise, and I should now play e4, but I like just a fianchetto, very slow Maroczy. I like b3. If they play knight e4, I can take it because my rook's defended on a1. A nice use for the knight on c2. My other point with it is I'm going to eventually come to d5, which is often a good square. I would like to play bishop b2, queen d2, rook d1. They would like to play d5. Let's prod at them. I can insert the bishop on d6, and that might be annoying for them, because then how are they going to get free? I like that, yeah. Just make it tricky for them to develop. Maybe rook c1. Now I can consider knight b5. I like it. Just try to insert more pieces on this weak d6 square. Just play for the weak squares. I'm threatening knight c7. Okay. I guess I'll take and then play bishop h3. And then invade on d6 again. Maybe bishop h3 was wrong. Maybe it should stay on the pin. I could play knight d6 anyway, maybe. I'm not sure. Let's play knight d6. Inconvenience the bishop. And if they play queen c7, I'll probably not do anything. Just leave the knight there for a turn. How can we improve? Maybe knight e3. Yeah, I like knight e3. I think the d6 wedge is very annoying for them. At some point, I'll take on b7 and then play bishop b7, I think. Yeah, that point should probably be now, because now they have this awkward two pieces on the line. They probably have to... Yeah, d5 doesn't help. So they probably have to play like queen b8. Okay. Guess I'll take. I guess they can just lose a pawn here. Usually in Blitz, I'd rather lose an exchange than a pawn, especially when it leaves white's position open. So they can play knight c6. Alright, so this way they lost an exchange and a pawn. Maybe insert e3 first, because if I take queen takes and I play e3, they have knight f3. If I play e3 first, then their knight doesn't have a way to get in on these weak light squares. In fact, I don't have to take their rook immediately, because they brought their queen, I think, to the wrong square. They probably should have played queen c8. Okay. I guess I'm going to take that. They can lose the exchange a new way now, but I now have 2 pawns in an exchange. Yeah, so let's just load up on the file. What's the best invasion? Probably just any doubling is good. Look how long they took their rook to get out, though. It was very awkwardly placed. Thinking about rook d8. I would play queen a3, I think, if I was them, and just pray. But I think then queen e5 is very strong. I'm going to try to force through queen e5. Because now, yeah. And they can safely resign. Alright, 2 for 2. You can play a rematch. The Budapest did so well last time. Okay, not a Budapest. I'm going to play very standard stuff against the London. Look for a quick queen b6, hit b2, which is weak because the bishop came out early. I like c4. Now bishop f5. If they take, I take on b2. And there's this line from, I think I saw it from an Eric Rosen thing, with knight h5 and f6. And the idea is to push e5 at some point. They lost an extra tempo here. I was going to play f6 anyway. So I can try e5. Now you may think they have 3 attackers and I have 2 defenders, but I can swap one of them off at my leisure. I could also play a little slower. I could play e6. I could take on g3 and play queen c7. I kind of like that because that frees me up to threaten b5 as well and gives me another piece supporting e5. One thing to worry about is knight h4, because if my bishop comes back this way, they have knight g6, and if my bishop goes here, they also have knight g6, and this pawn is pinned. So, do I need to worry about that? I always assume I don't, and then I do, but I think I like the look of e5. I think knight h4, bishop e4, and if f3, I bet I can take on d4 with my queen coming into g3. That's my bet. Alright, they have no interest in these complications. I'm going to castle. Sometimes when I castle queenside, b3 gets annoying. So okay, I'm going to keep developing. I now can think about ed4 and bishop g3, and sometimes that's very hard for white to defend. Alright, good move. I think I have to take it. Now, I think I should castle. If they play c4, I think it's useful that I have the b4 square. Alright, now they're going for my bishop. But now they don't have the same threats on g6. So I think I'll just play bishop b6. If I play e4 now, then g5 threatens to trap the knight. Now that may mean I should have played e4 earlier because it meant that h4 is a risky square for their knight. Alright, I'm going to play e4. You have to be worried about bishop takes g3 and g5. And they worried about both of them. Huh. Interesting. I guess for now, I'll just keep their knight locked out of the game. Gotta play quicker, so I was trying to make a relatively quick decision rather than look for the punish. Okay, just gonna play a6. Gonna slow down a bit. I think my knight on b4 has some nice squares. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe queen d7, threatened to take on g4. But if cd5, I might have to take back bishop to keep e4 defended. I've misplayed this. I don't like what's going on at all. Right, let's take that. Don't have bishop g3 anymore because my queen's not on c7. Oh, this feels so loose for them. What to do? Alright, I'm going to come back because I don't want my knight to be loose. If c5, my bishop's no longer defending it, and their queen might be on it. Their position feels really loose to me. So I'm going to make sure they don't have targets, and then I figure I'll be able to get in behind. Maybe I'll play f5. If they made it with g5 to try to keep it closed, I'll try to play f4. Yeah, I want my bishop on this diagonal. Could have considered b8 so my queen can come to c7, but I want to play rook e8. And I will. I do think I should play f5 soon. Okay, let's try it here. g5, f4, they can try e4 to keep it closed. I think I'm going to take that and just open everything if I can. Okay. Now I feel a bit better. I feel like my pieces just clearly have better squares than theirs. I'm threatening queen g5 check and queen takes e3. They prevent it. How can I exploit the weak light squares? Let's play queen e6, hit e3, and then knight e7 to f5. Do I have to worry? Bishop f3, there's some lines where my queen and king are on the same diagonal. Like, if they should have played e4 there. I'm going to sidestep now. Because if I took, they had bishop c4. Alright, let's try knight f5. I think I have to get rid of that, and then knight h4, I can come to f3. And now I win some material. I'm going to make sure, or try to fight for the f-file. If bishop g6, I'm going to play rook g8, and if rook h7, I can take it. And I think this wins. Remove queen g3. Okay. And now I'm just up a rook. Okay. Resigning remains safe for them. Yeah. Okay. 3 for 3. Can we get the unheard of 5 for 5? Probably not. Let's play d4. I think this is my least played first move on stream. Clearly I'm hiding my deep prep in it. Alright. I have no prep for the Grunfeld, but I do have a weird line with queen a4 check. The natural move after is queen... Okay, so here's cd5, they have to take back knight. I play e4, and my point is, we have a normal Grunfeld, except we've inserted queen a4 and c6. Given that black is going to play c5 anyway, my claim is I'm up a tempo. Black's claim is, okay, we're switching to the e5 break, and this was very smart of my opponent. That pawn might be not easy to defend. I'm going to try bishop g5, because I think f6 is a little bit of a concession. Okay. Trade that bishop. Maybe I should think about d5. Let's just improve. Rook e1. If knight b6, I just move my queen. Yeah, I think I'm a little better here. I think this is a reasonable position to get against Grunfeld, which is of course a pretty top tier defense for black, though not very in vogue these days. Svidler's still playing it, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is playing it, and obviously he's having phenomenal results except for his complete inability to ever qualify for the candidates. I don't know when this video will come out, so it might be after the final tournament of the Grand Prix. But basically, in the last cycle, which Caruana won the candidates, MVL was like the top finisher to not qualify for the candidates by almost every single metric. And this cycle, he's on pace to follow that with a very similar achievement. Okay, so they're sort of threatening to take on d4 and then take on e4. I'll just play bishop f1. Just get my rook nicely aligned against their queen. Discourage like f5 ideas. If their knight moves, e5 is loose. It's a little hard for them to free themselves, so I'm just going to try not to help them free themselves. Okay, so I can play d5. I get a nice passer. Or I can try for more. I don't see how, though. But I can keep the tension a little longer. Because if the game opens up, I'm a little better developed, right? So I shouldn't be scared of the game opening up. And I think closing it will give black time to free their position. And so I should try to kind of keep the game open with my developmental advantage. That was my thinking, anyway. All right. Knight takes. Maybe queen a3 is an awkward pin for them. Maybe it isn't. What about e5? If something like bishop b7, maybe I just have e6. Fair enough, but where does your bishop go? e6. Fair enough. Huh. Alright, now I'm going to ask where does your queen go if you take that queen, because I think you have to. Maybe f4, try to secure my center. My pieces are getting a little loose, though. I want to keep the rook. I'm a little worried about knight e4. Do I have to play with like rook d3? Oh, that loses. Knight e4 might win for them. Knight e4, yeah. Oh, rook g6. Does not at all. Alright. I totally saw this the whole way. I mean, I still might be in trouble, actually, because them taking the rook is pretty strong. Can I consider f5? Maybe queen b7. Ooh, but they're threatening knight d2, right? So, do I have any way to avoid it? What about e6? Can also play h4, h5 and try to break up their king structure that way. Let's try that. I don't see any way to save my bishop. And so I need to try to get their king in the open or I have no compensation. Knight d2, if I play like queen d7, they take rook. They have to save their knight at the end, but that's not a problem. Yeah. So I'm going to try to play h5. They should play knight d2. I'll play h5. They play rook f1. Ooh. This might let me tie them down a little more. Okay. Queen f6. Did I save my bishop? I don't think I have to resign yet. And that's kind of a miracle. So king e3. Don't hang knight f6. Too slow. Okay, obviously I should play queen g7 mate, but I'm pleased I played fast enough. 0.06 seconds left. I just had to get my king out of knight check squares and then get the queen out. So I should be busted here. Why not knight d2? Knight d2, h5, rook f1, king h2, rook f4. What am I missing? Knight d2, king f2. So if rook takes, king e2, and if knight takes, then they get tied down, much like the game. Ah, interesting. I did not see this defensive resource. Was very lucky to just have rook takes g6 here at all. Here, bishop b5 is a useful move. That makes sense. And if they compete for the file, I try to hold it. But do I not? I take back pawn, so I don't lose it on e5. Okay. Did we get nice position out of the opening? We did. Alright. Okay, what's that? Is that 4 for 4? Can't be. I never win 4 games. Alright, 4 for 4. Nope, I don't want 1 minute. 3 minutes. Can I finally get a 5 for 5 on stream? Probably not. It's choking time, and I am a master at choking. When as a kid, used to play the state championships, and I was a very fast player as a kid, and so game 60 was, 60 minutes for each side for the game, is a pretty short time control for tournament play. Knight t2 is a good move. I'm going to play bishop f5 to control d3. I think white should either play something with bishop b5 soon. They can play knight f3 first, or try taking. This I don't think I'm so scared of, but something with bishop b5 though still could be annoying in knight f3. I don't want a6, so let's take and then play a6. Does that make sense? I hope so. Anyways, so I used to play state championships, and I felt very good about them, or like that they should be good for me, because I was quick. They were game 60. That was the time control I was best at. A lot of the other best players in my age group were very slow. I'm going to play knight e4, and if they move the bishop, do something to control the e5 square for when their knight comes in. Also, yeah, they stop knight d2 potential. Maybe b5. I never have rook b8, which is always the move you blunder at some point in these games. Maybe I should play h6, so my bishop has a square to tuck away, and just for luft. Do I want the knights on or off? I guess off. Let's try to trade their annoying bishop. And then look for b4. 8-5 and b4, I guess. Bring my rooks to the more important side of the board. Probably take on g3 and then play e5 next. And I don't see where white's counterplay is. I'm playing much faster when talking about other stuff. So, used to play state championships for my age group. Game 60 should favor me. I was very good at game 60, and not so good once longer amounts of time were there. Is the g-file really f-file really that good for you? I don't believe it. I don't think I need to preemptively play that. I'll go for a quick b4. So, anyways, I'd always feel like I should have a good chance. And then the night before the state championships, I never slept. I was always so tense and nervous and not able to keep my shit handle it. And every time I would just disappoint, no matter what seed I was. I think I peaked as the 2nd or 3rd seed, probably I'm not sure, 2nd or 3rd seed. And I thought this was my year. Whoever the 1st seed was, I thought they were slow, not a natural game 60 player. And I kept thinking, this has got to be my year every year. Never was. And friends who were much slower won a lot more of them. But I always felt so tense. It's very difficult for me. I'm not sure how to improve either of our positions very much here. I'm going to play h6 because I don't think it can hurt me, though they might have thought it gave them a target. And then g6, and whichever one they push, maybe I'll push the other. That was the idea. This may not have been good. If rook d3, they threaten... No, they don't threaten queen takes d5. Ugh, I hate how I'm playing this. I'm going to allow so many infiltrations. They'd love to get their queen to the weak light squares, but it's hard for them because the rook's in the way. God, I hate how I've played this. I'm going to bring the rook to c6 where it can better defend stuff. Now my queen's loose, though. Gonna play rook f8. Maybe I should try to get in behind, play like queen b7 at some point. Yeah, they have a similar idea. Alright, let's play rook b6. Swing over to that side of the board. Okay. Just see where the queen goes. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to throw in a check. 2 checks, even. Depending where they go. Okay. I didn't want to allow, if I pushed past, I was thinking of, but then they played d6, and then they have the c7 square. Now I feel like their king should be vulnerable. But perhaps it isn't. I guess I'll play a second check. I gotta be careful about my own king. But they're low on time. So if they play queen d4, queen e3, yeah, this is a blunder. Alright, I found a tactic. King is the worst defender. They should have defended on d4 with their queen. Yeah. Alright, 5 for 5. Pretty pleased with that. Talked about childhood trauma of doing terrible in state championships. Maybe someday I'll look at some of the games here, but they might be very sad for me. Anyway, 5 for 5. Best 3-minute showing we've seen. Here, I think this queen d7 line against the London's supposed to be okay. I'm trying to play queen b6 here. I want to play queen b6, hit b2. And if white plays knight f3, I will do so. Which is why, if you look in the database, good players are playing knight d2. And the point is, queen b6, suddenly black doesn't have bishop f5 because the queen can just take it. Queen takes b2, the rook's not trapped. While if we look at the analogous position, now black gets a nice game, and I had that earlier this session. So, good players are playing knight d2, and my opponent was, 2400, pretty good player. So I tried bishop f5 here. It is apparently the main move, I don't know it too well. But the idea is white's natural square for the bishop is d3. And white's attempts to exploit this are often queen b3, because b7 is now loose, and kind of knight f3, bishop b5, knight e5 ideas, because this knight is also a little less defended than it might be. There's also ideas sometimes of inserting dc5, though here I have e5 in response and can then recapture. So queen b3, queen d7. I don't know why queen b6 isn't played here, actually, but I think dc5. Yeah, I've had problems here. Because if I take here, this is just losing for me. I can try to hold on with rook c8, but the bishop comes in. Maybe there's even better moves than the bishop coming in. The computer's saying just knight gf3 resigns. Okay. So I have to trade queens, and then I can regain the pawn. White's played b4. I actually think I had a tournament game like this. And I played knight d7. And this position is okay for black, but it's a little uncomfortable. I'm going to play f6. I'm either going to castle or play king f7. I'm not sure it makes a big difference. It looks like white is the center, but black is the center, but I'm tied down. This pawn's really, I can't do anything about this. I have to stay on it forever, and that's really uncomfortable. White has a couple breaks, this and this, and black doesn't. e4 just gives them a square, d4 is under control. So while it might look like black is the center, also this pawn is pinned to this bishop. It's a pretty uncomfortable position. I think plus 0.3 is a fair evaluation, but maybe practically white has more than that. The tournament game I got in this, I ended up drawing, but my opponent said after he wasn't sure I was any good at chess, which might have been fair. It wasn't. But so queen d7 is the main move. I was familiar with that. Knight gf3. And I tried to simplify to an exchange Slav, but I'm supposed to play c4. Okay. And that's actually really... I get scared of bishop b5, and I wanted to make sure I was never hanging dc5, but c4 certainly deals with that. So c4, the queen doesn't really have squares. If the queen goes to a4, then I'm going to get b5 with tempo. Maybe a6 first isn't technically correct. The queen can't really go to the dark squares because e6 will come. And the queen doesn't have c2, so queen d1, and then e6. And if white tries to break out immediately, I can play b5. Bishop a3 is interesting. The point of threatening bishop b2. But okay, b5, and if they try to undermine, I have b4. Yeah, and if my knight comes in, it's very strong. If they take here, I take here. My knight comes in. This is very good for black. All right, this is good to know, because you get worried. I get worried when they undermine. If I can play b5 and they have a4, I can't play a6 because of takes, takes, takes. So I get worried about whether I can play b5, and it's really good to know I can here. So bishop e2. h6 is very logical. Make sure knight h4 doesn't grab white the two bishops. Castles. And bishop d6. Yeah, and black is a nice position. Okay, and that looks like pretty comfortable. Alright, so I have to remember c4 is a key thing to follow queen d7. And I don't have to be worried about bishop b5 because I'm playing c4 first. Alright, cheers.